And again, same thing. You've got the Photos app.
Okay. And I believe there's one final photo in this demonstrative. What about this one?
Again, it was up there on Series 3.0 on that particular photo.
All right, we can take that one down. Your Honor, I have a little bit left. I don't know if you wanted to.
All right, you want to take our afternoon?
Let's go ahead and take our afternoon recess. Just do not discuss the case and don't do any outside research. Thank you.
All right. See you, Wingnam. Thank you so much for this very generous super chat. It says, regarding the rightfully mine message, the direction is incoming. Him, Johnny Depp, is quoted as the owner, and Stephen Deuters is just listed as one of the participants. It's kind of weird, though. Him is listed thrice, but the lawyer did state him as referring to JD.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know that we have enough information to read that mechanical report accurately. I know it says incoming, but it lists everybody at the same place. And we don't know what phone grabbed those messages. So I understand why it looks bad. It might be bad, but I don't know that we can just say, ha, got him, that they're reading it wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it might be possible to play the clip I posted in private chat, because I think the audience's reactions are interesting.
So
Whose
good.
video is it? I just want to make sure I don't get a copyright claim on.
It's mine. Well, it's
on your channel,
so it's yours.
It's clipped. It's your clip. It's clipped of you.
Are you going to strike yourself, Alita?
Whose channel is it?
It's on your channel. It's
okay.
Your channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
doesn't matter.
guys.
It might be on my channel. I'm not sure.
Okay, let me see here.
Kurt doesn't know where he put it.
I didn't really put it anywhere, so I'm not technically sure where it is.
Okay, give me 1 second here. Sorry. I just need to make sure that I'm capturing these here while I. 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves.
We talked about the fact that the judge entered an order on Amber Heard's motion to seal records related to the jurors' identities.
No. What happened?
So Amber Heard filed a motion to seal the identities of the jurors' information and identifiers, seal records relating to their identities, and Judge Ascarati granted the motion on the 18th and 16th, two separate motions, one that was more specific, granting all information and sealing it for a year, and the other one that just sealed all identifiers.
Now, Rob, will that bind a juror from wanting to come out directly by themselves, voluntarily?
No, it won't, because the jury is actually not subject to this particular order.
Okay.
Alrighty. Do you want me to play it?
Yep. Turn on the audio and watch the audience. See if LawTube has some thoughts about this clip.
Okay.
You know this case is being televised, right?
I am aware that there are cameras.
And so this gets you your 15 minutes of fame.
Objection, Your Honor. Argumentative.
I can ask that question. Ruled.
So
I mean, he did
stand to gain
laugh.
nothing from this. I'm actually putting myself kind of in the target of TMZ,
There you
a
go.
very litigious
Good answer.
organization.
This is
And
great
I'm not
commentary, I have to
seeking
say.
any 15 minutes here. Though you're welcome to speculate. I could say the same thing by taking Amber Heard as a client for you. Hardly. I find that to be purely logical.
Now, are you aware that Mr. Jeffs?
All right.
End of clip.
Fun.
I thought the DUI guy might have some thoughts regarding this piece of testimony. Maybe he'd like to comment more about it at some point in the future. Just, really subtle reaction. Not sure he picked up on it. But,
Yeah, it's very YouTuber with a red arrow somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that is one of those things about having cameras in the courtroom, and you can also sometimes pick up the audience reactions.
So I'm interested to hear, going back to the Johnny Depp cross-exam earlier, I'm interested to hear why, Hogue, you thought that was pretty damaging.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so until we get to this point in time, we've got a pretty clear story that we can tell ourselves that Amber Heard is an exaggerator and Johnny Depp is a truth teller, sincere. I don't care so much about the substance of what was said on the stand today. What I saw was a man that was making somewhat, in my mind, in my eyes, ludicrous claims about, that photo, I don't know what that is. I didn't write these things. I don't know what that is. all these kinds of very defensive justification examples that made him look very, 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 very shifty to me in that spot. Once you bring that into play, and then you really think about what we're watching, which is a he said, she said, where you have to believe in the sincerity of one party or another. I look at that and say, if Johnny loses on I'm the sincere truth teller at some point, if he just loses some of that faith, you bring in every juror that has a propensity to go the other direction, everybody that's looking at this thing from that point of view. And I don't think he added anything to his direct, with the exception of Whitney. I thought he discounted Whitney pretty good, which was important to me. Outside of that, what I was so disturbed is too strong, but watching that testimony is just, I don't know, for the first time in 7 weeks of calendar time, looking at him and thinking this could be a liar. I mean, like this guy could be out there exaggerating much more than I've given him credit for. He's a better actor than Amber Heard. And realistically, I think if you're responding to these things in a way that I find ludicrous, we've got a problem. I thought redirect helped him out. And I don't know that it buries him. I mean, in a couple hours later, I'm thinking about it, and you still have Amber Heard as a problem. But remember what I said at the start of this, which is muddy middle goes to Amber. And what I would say writ large is when Johnny Depp responds that way, I think you could argue the muddy middle has returned to the playing field after being kicked out for 3 weeks. And that's an interesting evolution of the case to me. That's where I come at it from.
How could Johnny Depp's team have better, I guess, prepared him for that, or how would that have better been handled? Don't go ahead. Don't call him.
Don't
put him up as the answer. He doesn't get enough out of it.
You didn't need to. That was an own goal. Like, you had him testify. You had Amber's credibility just slaughtered in front of the jury right there in the last few days. You had Amber supporting witnesses' credibility slaughtered right in front of the jury in the past few days. If anything, the jury had placed a great deal of time between Johnny Depp's original testimony and today's date. So as far as closing argument is concerned, you can rephrase, reframe, and perfect some of the inconsistencies that he testified to back then. You put him up now. And the other thing is you give Rottenborn a second shot at him. And I'll tell you this, you give an attorney, an experienced litigator, one shot at cross, and they're going to hit it. But you give them 2 shots at the same witness, cross-examination, they're going to change, they're going to adapt, and Rottenborn proved to be extremely effective at that. It was all risk and very little reward. I just didn't see why you did it.
And this was kind of what we were talking about during Johnny's direct when he took the stand for the first time. Or we're not really getting anything out of this. Like, he's not coming off incredibly. It didn't add much. And kind of, I think what we were all thinking in the back of our mind is, and now he's going to be susceptible to cross, which is, as we watched, it was more negative than putting him back up was positive.
Yeah, and chat responding to me on all this. I'm not claiming to be the final arbiter of what a juror is going to think of these things. I'm just trying to tell you how I responded to them. I'm also not trying to tell you that Johnny's credibility is gone with the wind forevermore. I'm saying that it was really the first time in a while when I looked at that and said, man, maybe that guy could be lying. And I don't know that I'd really valued that position before I watched him do that cross-examination response. That opens doors to people's minds, right? And if somebody is remotely close to the fence or feels uneasy about hammering Amber Heard on this, it's easy enough for 7 Virginians to say, screw you both, muddy middle, I have no idea, get out of here, Hollywood. It really is.
Yeah, and I don't, as a layperson, I didn't feel that the cross-examination was that bad. But I will say that you have a good point and some good points there. And when you talk about the muddy middle, I have a good friend of mine who's been following this trial, was not following the case before the trial, so she's like you, Hogue. And I really respect her opinion. And I talked to her a couple of days ago. I said, well, how's it going? And I thought that she would say, oh, I think Johnny Depp's just, totally running away with this. And she said, well, I'm totally on his side and everything. But there's some times that I look at him, especially when he's talking about the substance abuse issue or some of the texts or some of the other things. And it's just like, come on, level with us, get real.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, and I think because I alienated myself from chat this morning, maybe I'll.
We do that all the time.
Yeah, I know. No, I know. But I like to play
turn.
both sides of the fence here. Right. This time I'm going to be on the side of the chat. Is that, I think I'm closer to you, Kurtz, on this. I do think the testimony was not good, and as a lawyer, I would have been like, this is docked points for me. But we're now in week, 7 of this trial, functionally speaking, and I think there aren't going to be a lot of jurors on the fence, and that sort of testimony is only going to be persuasive to people who are on the fence.
That's true.
And so it's very possible that meant nothing to anyone. But I do think that it was absolutely kind of an own goal. It was, it was an unforced error. Whether or
No, I
not it
do
actually has
think-
an effect, who knows.
Right. And I do think that, and I don't think that the text that where he's talking about, where he's telling Christian Carino, his agent, how much he hates her and he can't wait for it's paraphrasing, but the breath of life to leave her or whatever. I understand that sounds bad, but at the same time, I'm hoping that the jurors will remember that these texts are coming from a man who's just endured years of abuse, infidelity with different men, and that this woman had just tried to destroy him publicly in front of everyone with the fake domestic violence claims. So I think that those kinds of things, like the mean texts, the angry texts, I think those are easier to overlook than what you were talking about, Hogue, where it seems like sometimes there might be some dissembling.
Dissembling is a great word, right? And the substance, you're right to call out. Maybe it's not that important. We'd seen that bad text before. We can understand it, or better said, we can frame it in the story that you just told, which is if we believe Johnny Depp, it's a part of this kind of cascading series of events. It's him sitting on the stand in front of me in the room, and I'm like, man, you got to admit some of this, and that's what I was thinking. Again, right. I'm not the final arbiter of all this.
Yeah.
Right.
Chat, you can keep yelling at me. It's A-okay with me. But I just want to tell you what I'm thinking because I think that's what I'm here for.
Well, and a lot of people are, and just to speak to the chat as well, a lot of other people are thinking that too. So, go ahead, I'm sorry.
How is Ian talking?
I think your Wi-Fi connection isn't good, Ian, unfortunately.
I'm sure he's saying something great, though.
No,
I know.
I can hear him from the next room. His analysis is fantastic. Like I can hear
Oh
him.
no, that's always how it happens.
It's wonderful. He's brilliant. He's spot on. So good points, Ian.
Nailed it, Ian. Subscribe to Uncle the Bailey.
Well, and I was just saying, I really appreciate Hogue's perspective, and I appreciate the dissenting perspectives. And I was trying to tell people this on Twitter earlier today because I was really upset about what I thought was the Jennifer Howell fiasco yesterday. And there are people in Depp supporter world who don't want to hear negative perspectives. And I just want to say, you're not doing yourself a favor because there are a number of people who are going to feel the same way as Hogue and who are going to feel the same way as others about this. And so it's good to know. It's good to hear that perspective. So.
I still think I like Johnny's case better. I worry about the person that wasn't convinced, and I think that's strong enough because I don't even know the worst outcome might be a hung jury, and that's been in play the entire time because of the nature of this case. So I mean, I just look at that and say that was, I'm going to say a fiasco. Doesn't mean the case is over, but in terms of moving the needle, that the door was kicked wide open for someone that's already inclined to go through it.
Hung juries in civil cases, though, are pretty unusual.
Yeah,
I don't think that they will have
only
moved
7 of
or changed the outcome. Oh, what's that? Oh, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with the net.
I like it because it looks like Ian's talking psychically to us.
Andrea Burkhart, by the way, did a really great.
Oh,
yeah, the Wi-Fi here is not great.
Man.
I know, come out and it's gone. I think this is an interesting question that Mike Quaglia is bringing up here in the super chat. Is look, also another perspective is that whether or not the negative to JD's credibility is worth the minus time. I think the answer to it though is I don't know what else Amber Heard's side is going to spend better time on.
You talk about leverage in baseball, right? You talk about what your high leverage games are. What could get better leverage than Johnny Depp?
Right. This is what they should be saving their time for is things like that.
I'm sorry, Ian.
Oh.
It's my fault. It's my damn office.
Are you sabotaging him?
Rob, you need to upgrade your broadband, man.
You guys could just be on the same cam. Just saying. Look like buddies.
It's possible. He's
Well,
welcome.
I just wanted to say real quick that Andrea Burkhart has a great video out on the Jennifer Howell situation yesterday, and those of us who thought that that was a missed opportunity on the part of Depp's team, check out Andrea's video because I think she explains that really well. And again, not trying to be negative, and I totally support Depp, and I think he's probably going to win, but there are some negative realities at times to deal with here.
Well, and that's sometimes what we have to do is in looking at this in a very clear-headed way is to be very sober about the things that are going wrong. I mean, because otherwise you don't want to end up blindsided when you get to a verdict. You know, like you want to know what's going well, what's not going well.
And if you're looking for some high points from that Jennifer Howell testimony, there was one that was very interesting to me, is that at the end, I don't know how it remained in, but it was just Howell just being really mad that she talked for 3.5 hours at the other side and only got 20 minutes here, and then it just like abruptly cuts. Like, it lets you know that there was disputes during the deposition, right, and stuff that exists that didn't get in, you know, which I think was interesting. I mean, there's no way that if I were on Amber's side, I would have let that come in, you know, and I don't know how it got in, but that was a very interesting part of Jennifer Howell's deposition, and it just ended kind of on this like fight.
Very weird ending.
Yeah.
I think some of us who have followed this case for a long time, who know how much more there was that we were hoping she would say or be allowed to say, were disappointed. But I totally hear what you're saying. That I'm glad to get that perspective of someone who was fresh and wasn't expecting what some of us were, unfortunately.
Well, and I knew, I had heard what she was supposedly going to testify to, but at least for the jurors, they saw that there was something more. Whether or not they know what that something more is, they know that there was something more, and that person was not happy about it.
And Johnny did get in, as I said at the time, relevant Whitney testimony that helped me at least discount Whitney's testimony to the point where I can say, okay, I can now imagine a subservient relationship that results in a kind of weird corroboration, and I can discount all of that. So that part of Johnny's testimony was useful, but I would have preferred if that was all they did. I don't actually know why they went for the Orient Express punch. I don't know why they combated the MDMA pills. I don't know why they went down these roads when, I mean, I guess you don't know exactly what your witness is going to do on the stand, but it just resulted in, I love that word, dissembling.
Yeah, that was a great word.
I am an English
coming from an English professor. Yeah, I was going to say. Did you do Shakespeare, by the way? You talked about
I did not end up. I ended up specializing in Mary Shelley, but when I got into it, I thought I was going to do Shakespeare, and then I ended up wanting to do a little bit later. So that was my dissertation was on Mary Shelley and horror films.
Oh,
I'd read that.
Okay. We're friends.
Believe me, it would bore the hell out of you. So.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah, that was something that came up earlier that I was interested in.
Yes.
I know you're doing all sorts of back end stuff, but I don't know that we've heard from you about what you thought of Johnny Depp.
I think that it was bad, definitely bad. It drew blood from his side, from his testimony, but I don't think that it was as bad as I think a lot of other folks on the panel were thinking, or their impressions were. When he comes back, I mean, because well, for one thing, we already know about the bad texts of, you know, her being a witch and burn her at the stake and all that kind of stuff. We already know about that. Granted, it's been a while since we heard those. So, you know, having those that kind of style of text messaging come back up again, it was kind of like a little bit of a smack in the face at first. But then, like, you know, as he's explaining, like, hey, I was going through a really rough time at this point. I was very justifiably angry. Then it was like, okay, yeah, that's right. Like, he also was going through divorce. He also was, you know, being dragged through the mud publicly around the world. Like, okay, like that long text message that was like a paragraph of text message. I was like, okay, that I can actually, oddly enough, forgive. As terrible as that language can kind of sound, he also is very metaphorical. Like, if all of those memories kind of came back when he explained that. So that didn't feel so damaging. The part of him saying that text wasn't me, you know, I'm on the fence about it because I don't really like that explanation. I much prefer for there to be like a justification of like, that was me, but this is another way of explaining it. But at the same time, that is also the very first time that he has said something like that wasn't me. So there's a part of me that's also more willing to believe, like,
To give
okay,
him credit.
like he has never, he's never cashed in that token, so to speak. So it's not
And it's entirely conceivable based on what we know, or what I think we know about Amber Heard. It's actually, in this instance, this is one of those cases where truth is stranger than fiction, and there are things that Amber has done in this case that are just unbelievable. So it's not it's not beyond the pale that she might have sent a fake text. I just don't know if it came off. It didn't come off well, him saying that. But then,
Well, it's right after ocular cavity, and yes, I see chat yelling incoming. I already talked about this. It's a weird description of the text.
Yeah.
We can't know what that means, and honestly, it would be a major violation for them to present it separately. Not that they wouldn't do it, okay, but it would be a problem for the lawyers to have presented it in a wrong way that way.
All right, you ready for the jury?
Yes, sir.
Hi, everybody. May we approach for
Just one moment. Okay.
okay. And then they are immediately approaching the judge to have a conference.
Yeah, they're fighting about these photos.
Yeah, so about the guys on the stand right now, I'm interested. So his argument is he's saying these could have been doctored with because their extension means Photos version 3, right? But isn't Photos just the default Apple storage?
Yeah, I have a question because I crop everything when I put it on, let's say, Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, is that enough to get that designation changed?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not sure about that. I wonder if they'll talk about that more.
I'd love to see it on Cross, just to understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know enough about it to know,
Yes, Your Honor. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Ben.
I think that's why the photo editing stuff is so huge, because if they can start establishing fake photo editing, then fake text becomes real plausible.
Sure.
Fake everything becomes plausible at that point.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested in watching this, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, you can be seated. Your next question. Thank you. Mr. Newmeister, do you have another demonstrative prepared that shows a photo with EXIF data reflecting that it was saved in Photos 3?
Correct. Photos 3, yes.
Your Honor, we have a video of these photos, and we're happy to play it once so that counsel can review, if that's all right.
Okay.
Hey, Britt. What does that mean? I saw that.
Mr. Bites just came in because he wants to be a total co-counsel. He reminded me of how one of the things that was so compelling to the jury in the O.J. Simpson case was the fact that they didn't disprove the DNA, but they just put enough doubt into the case as to the DNA. I also reminded him that that's a criminal case and not a civil case. A few differences, but that was it. But that's it. It's an interesting point from a layman's perspective.
So you decide.
Why can't you give Mr. Bites the win? Just give him the win.
Yeah.
You know he probably never gets another one.
No, but that is a good point. It's a very good point. That if they have enough doubt in this particular case as to the validity of those photos and everything else with the metadata, yeah, no, absolutely. Then they could decide to just toss out everything. Also, Allison Becca, thank you so much for your generous super chat. Thank you. No, but I do think that is a good point. But I also wanted to issue caveats because there are some differences, and I want people to have all of the points if they're gonna analyze any point that we put out there.
Just let Hubstron be right. Just give the layman a win. Give the layman.
I let him win a lot, you guys.
I love that it's still the letting him win thing.
Yep.
No, I'm
oh,
kidding.
Let's be
I'm
honest. That's how
kidding.
it goes. Come on.
No. He does legitimately win from time to time. Many times, guys. Don't.
I just
don't
like to
read
hear
too
about
much
the
into my
bites
words.
sidebars here.
All right, we took care of that, Your
All right,
Honor.
thank you.
May we publish or would you like to see it?
I'd just like to see it first.
Okay. And what's demonstrative business going to be then?
This is plaintiff's 1305, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Could you play it? Take it.
Subject to Your Honor's ruling.
All right. So 13, marked as plaintiff's 1305 and used as demonstrative. You can publish to the jury.
Mr. Newmeister, we're going to go ahead and play the demonstrative that you prepared, and then after the jury's had a chance to see it, if you want to explain to them what the demonstrative shows, that would be great.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you publish it? No, this.
Oh, can we lower the super chat so I can see the little? I think it was
Mr.
just showing
Newmeister,
different systems.
what was depicted in that video?
The same photo treated two different ways. One was marked with the original or with the operating system from an iPhone, which is iOS 9.3.1 on that particular photo. The one that says 9.3.1, there's a graphic below indicating it. The second photo is marked Photos 3, and it looks quite a bit different.
And just, Tom, could we pull up defendant 708? Mr. Newmeister, does the image in defendant 708 appear to be similar, same photo as what was depicted in your demonstrative?
It's the Photos 3.0 edit version.
Thank you. We can take that one down, Tom. Mr. Newmeister, have you also formed an opinion about defendants exhibits 712 and 713?
Correct.
Did you prepare a demonstrative that shows?
This is the best one.
I can show you if you'd like, Your Honor.
Yeah, this is the best one.
Was this the one Ian was doing?
The light, yeah.
Okay.
The exact same photo. I have high hopes for this demonstrative, and I hope I'm not let down.
Rob, I
Careful.
feel like I'm riding the roller coaster with you down there.
Yeah.
I'm so emotional right now.
You're invested.
Yeah. This is someone who's been in the courtroom, you know,
Mm-hmm.
feeling that energy.
That's why I love to hear from Rob. Rob, have you been in this specific courtroom as a litigant?
Yeah.
All right.
One of my favorite cases I ever tried was before the previous Chief Judge, Judge White, in this courtroom.
I love it.
All right. Could we pull up plaintiff's exhibit 1306, Tom? And Your Honor, this is another video that, can you pause that, please? This is another video that we prepared. It's not published yet, so I'm happy to play it once through. So that
I would just request what exhibit
exhibits are they? Sorry, Your Honor. What exhibits are these that are in this video? It doesn't say. I don't know.
Yeah, I tried to get my question out a moment ago. Defendants 712 and 713, Your Honor.
Okay, 1306 then will be demonstrative as identified.
Hopefully there's not too much background noise. I stepped outside so that I could
And
be on
if
my
we could
cell.
go ahead and play that, please. Tom?
I don't hear any background noise. Ian.
Okay, that's good.
Oh, look, it's very dramatic. Look at that.
And Mr. Newmeister, what's your, what do we see here in this demonstrative?
There's exhibit 712, I believe you have. I'm not sure the dates number, 712 and 713. They're two separate exhibits, except it's the exact same photograph that's been, one's been edited, one hasn't, or I can't say that one hasn't, but the colors have been modified in an editor.
Objection, Your Honor. Beyond the scope of your ruling, talking about colors, it keeps happening.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Newmeister, did you form an opinion in this case about the authenticity of the photos that you reviewed of Ms. Heard?
Well, first of all, nobody can identify the authenticity of the photos, of any of the photos. Marked photos 3, photos 1, or just marked with the operating system number. And the reason is the manner of collection. So these came from an iTunes backup. Now, what is an iTunes backup?
Objection, Your Honor. I'm sorry. You're beyond the scope of your ruling. EXIF metadata, this keeps happening.
Your Honor, may I approach on this one?
I'm curious as to
Sorry,
why
what is the objection here?
Yeah, I'm curious as to why well, it sounds like the judge has ruled on this, which is